Thank you, Adrian. Wembley, a picture. The Chelsea fans away to our left, the Palace support to our right, certainly making the most of the day as well they might. The Eagles remain one of the few Premier League teams who've never won this competition. Even semi-finals have been a relative rarity. Whilst this is Chelsea's 13th appearance in the last four of the competition this century, it's just Palace's fifth in FA Cup history. And whilst they won one of the most dramatic of them all back in 1990, they have only made it to the final once since then. These occasions to be savoured and appreciated. Those Palace fans determined to do exactly that. Well, for Chelsea, such matches might be commonplace, but familiarity doesn't breed contempt. The FA Cup's been their domain in the recent past, and a fifth final in 6 seasons is the target. This hurdle, one that they've generally found easy to navigate, but seldom has it come on the back of such a strength-sapping match that will have had such a draining effect both mentally and physically. The win of the Bernabeu, an extraordinary victory with an unhappy ending. The need to lift themselves again, self-evident. Their team shows just 3 changes. Christensen, Jorginho and Azpilicueta. In for Silva, Conte and Loftus-Cheek. It's Mendy in goal, Azpilicueta, Christensen and Rudiger. James, Jorginho, Kovacic and Alonso. And Mount behind Havertz and Werner.
Yeah, it looks a very strong side, I have to say, Jim. And I think it's almost really the mental side, because how have they recovered? And also physically, first 20 minutes, when I had tough back-to-back games, it was the first 20, not the last 20. You kind of struggle with to get your feet going again, to get your body going again. So Palace should really go at Chelsea, but if Chelsea play their A game today, they should go and see this through. Look very strong.
Palace, for their part, make 4 changes. Butland started every FA Cup tie this season and replaces Guaita. Ward, MacArthur and Eze come in for Klein, Ayew and the ineligible Gallagher. Mitchell's fit, and Elise's back on the bench after injury. It's Butland in goal, Ward, Anderson, Gurhey and Mitchell, MacArthur and Kouyaté, Zaha, Eze and Schlupp, and Mateta up front.
Yeah, play the game, not the occasion. We're going to be very patient. I think Palace have got to go and grow into this game and don't get blown away in the first 10-15 minutes by this great Chelsea side. Let's hope that big decision to play Butland. Hope we're talking about it for the right reasons, in positive ways. He's going to have to be man of the match. Eze, Zaha, the key men for Palace. They've got to have special games, and I think if they have great games, Palace have got a chance.
That's John Solarco alongside Scott Minto and myself, Jim Proudfoot, here at Wembley. Anthony Taylor, the referee, has just walked over to the 4th official on this near touchline. We're nearly ready to go. The smell of sulphur in the air. Those Palace fans away to our right-hand side, they're smuggling the smoke bombs in, and they really have made the most of this trip to Wembley. And will their team be able to make the most of it as well? Anthony Taylor just walking around the edge of the centre circle still, and plenty of balloons on the pitch over in what will be the Palace right-back area. I don't know whether the game's going to have to be delayed until they've been burst. Jack Butland is just going over there now at the request of the referee. Stamps on a couple, and there's 4 more tied together that are just going to meander over the touchline at their own accord. It will be Palace kicking from right to left in the first half in their blue and red kit, and Chelsea in all yellow defending the end of the ground away to our left that houses the Chelsea fans. Chelsea won each of the last 9 meetings of these 2 sides. This Palace team is better than those that have preceded it. No match more important than the next one. So will it be Chelsea in their 5th FA Cup final in 6 seasons, or will Palace make just the 3rd in their history? Liverpool are awaiting the winners, and we're underway.
Jim, I'll tell you what, the first thing to say is that Azpilicueta is the one who's playing out as the wing-back, and it's Reece James who's playing that right centre-back. Interesting. I think it's going to be wait and see exactly who's going to be up against him, but I personally would have put Reece James in his athleticism going up and down that wing, but no, he was so good at the Bernabeu. It's a very similar position today.
And that is the first time that both of those players have been involved this season in the same starting lineup that they played that way round, with James at right centre-half and Azpilicueta on the right. And as we stop again so that some more balloons can be burst, a quick tactical word about Crystal Palace, John, with Zaha up top alongside Mateta.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, it's surprised that Reece James playing as a centre-half, and also Kouyaté has lined up as a centre-half. So Palace going with the back three of Gueye, Anderson and Kouyaté. Ward, right wing-back, and Tyreek Mitchell as the left wing-back. And what he's gone with Eze as the 8 and Schlupp as an 8 and MacArthur as the 4. And then he's asked Wilf to go and play off Jean Mateta and almost play 2 up front. So a few changes there that we weren't expecting.
There's some interesting tactical nuances. Palace have possession just inside the opening couple of minutes, but nothing more than shadow boxing in these early stages. But Butland can work the ball out towards the Palace right, and then it's played quickly down the right-hand side for Joel Ward to chase. Coming across is Christensen, tried to buy a throw off Ward. It didn't go over the touchline in the end. Christensen had to play it again, and he's looked to clear it out of play for a Palace throw just inside Chelsea territory. 0-0.
Yeah, it's a simple ball over the top, but actually they were almost in Crystal Palace. To be fair to Christensen, he read the situation. I do think him playing as that central defender of the back three, that suits him better. He's not the quickest, he is very good on the ball, can read the game, but not great in a one-on-one situation. This should suit him better, and I think he showed a good bit of experience there.
So a throw taken by Palace and into the feet of Eberechi Eze, who's only had the 1 Premier League start this season, and this just the 5th that he's made in all competitions. All work back for Butland. Now that Anderson is able to play it forward into the feet of the white-booted Eze again. Back to Anderson on the edge of his own penalty area. Very interesting formation that Palace have played, matching Chelsea up with the back three. It's the first time, I think I'm right in saying, Palace have started a game with a back three all season. Ball headed away out to the Chelsea left, where Rudiger will play it for. Brought down though by Kouyaté, and then MacArthur works it out towards Eze, who's been heavily involved in these early stages. He will just play the way that he's facing here. Go back for Anderson. Now Marc Guéhi, he can bring it forward. Who recently made his England international debut, and he's won a free kick here, just given a little clip by Kai Havertz. Free kick to Palace on their left-hand side, level with us. We're situated about 10 yards, 15 yards or so inside the half that Crystal Palace are attacking in this first period. Still 0-0 here on TalkSport. They're still playing in that Scottish Cup semi-final in the last knockings of extra time, with Rangers leading Celtic by 2 goals to 1. Free kick to Palace, and a little bit of lack of communication, maybe, or match management, depending which way you look at it, about who's going to take it. Eze eventually trots out. Well, maybe. A high ball played towards the edge of the penalty area by Eze, just floated in. Chelsea kept a really high line. Rudiger heads it away. Goes out towards the far touchline, but Palace are there, and they've had a good start, got a good foothold in this game with the majority of possession so far.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Again, I'm so impressed with Patrick Vieira. He comes up with tactical solutions every time. He's so bright when he comes up against these top teams. And this is absolutely perfect, without the energy, the vibrancy of Conor Gallagher going to shut people down, playing as that 10 and maybe going beyond. He's trying to play Wilf in that. It'll be interesting to see how he plays, but a very, very good start from Palace. Very solid formation and a very solid start.
4.5 gone, it's 0-0. We will be going through here in the London derby to meet Liverpool. Is it going to be Chelsea, or is it going to be Crystal Palace for a repeat of that 1990 semi-final? It'll be Chelsea that make it through for a repeat of this season's League Cup final, so a repeat of the FA Cup final from 10 years ago. Palace again hemming Chelsea in their own left-back position. It's going to be a Chelsea free kick, but most of the game so far has been concentrated away to our left-hand side, which is the half that Crystal Palace are attacking. They've started really well.
Yeah, Palace have been very direct. They're getting the ball long. They're trying to put the Chelsea defence under pressure. I talked about how we'll see how they react, Chelsea, of what happened at the Bernabeu as well, and can they pick up their feet and carry on the way they almost finished off, because they were absolutely superb midweek, and Palace certainly asking questions, playing the ball in behind as much as possible. Chelsea just need to make sure they don't start in second gear, think they can move through the gears as the game goes on. That's what Manchester City thought yesterday, and we all know what happened there.
You're listening to live coverage of the FA Cup on TalkSport, thanks to Neutrogena T-Gel Therapeutic Shampoo. We're 6 minutes in, it's Chelsea 0, Palace 0. Mendy taking a free kick down by his own corner flag, flighting it forward. Anderson coming to meet it with Havertz. It goes out of play for a throw that will be taken by Joel Ward over on the Crystal Palace right-hand side. So experienced Ward, one of the members of the team that got to the final and were runners-up back in 2016. 300 Palace games behind them now. Came on at left-back the other day, but starting at right wing-back today. There's Reece James. He's on the right of the three Chelsea centre-halves, if you're just joining us, with Azpilicueta at wing-back, and he's made his way into space. Werner turning, trying to find him, but James McCarthy's in there to try and knock it away, and he's found Zaha. Zaha then turning an intelligent ball down the left-hand side of Christensen, and a chance for Mateta to run at him, but Christensen recovered well, finds his goalkeeper, and it'll be played out from the back for Anthony Rudiger.
Yeah, he's deceptively quick, Mateta. When he wants to get on his bike, he's willing. They know they want to explore those channels, and there Christensen nearly exposed. He's not the quickest, he's not as quick as Rudiger, but Mateta there, unfortunately, couldn't get hold of it and then front him up.
Chelsea in their all-yellow kit, bringing it forward again. Werner with the layoff. Kovacic, and now to Jorginho, who's immediately put under pressure by Schlupp. Comes down towards James. James to Christensen. He's the only outfield player in that half of the pitch when he receives the ball. Into the feet of Kovacic. Back for Christensen again. This is better from Chelsea, stringing the passes together for the first time really in the game. Alonso on the left-hand touchline, just shown inside by Joel Ward. He played forward towards Jorginho. Kovacic just buzzing around. Rudiger into the feet of Azpilicueta, who comes into a narrow position in the midfield. Backwards work now for Reece James. Play forward by Jorginho to Havertz, and then back for Reece James again. Flips it square for Rudiger to bring it forward. Chelsea fans urging him to shoot. He's just worked it into the feet of Havertz, spun away by Mitchell, and then Zaha comes back from this advanced position and now will chase, and Mitchell's bent one over the top for him to chase, but Christensen easily able to sweep up and lay back to his goalkeeper. We played 8 minutes, it's 0-0 here, Scott Minton.
Yeah, again, it's that ball over the top, and when you've got Reece James and Rudiger, who are very quick, very athletic, it looks like with the two up front, they're trying to get Christensen in almost a one-on-one situation. The other thing I would be thinking as well from a Palace point of view is, if I was Tyrick Mitchell, you know, the season I've had so far, I'm up against Azpilicueta, who's been a fantastic professional for the club, but physically he can do him. And I would take him, I'd run him up and down a few times, and then hopefully he'll get tired and, you know, become a better player and have more input for the side there. So there's a couple of places where Chelsea could be vulnerable.
And Jorginho playing it forward, Havertz trying to flick it on into the path of Werner, but it'll be dealt with by Mark Guehi, who only made a couple of appearances for Chelsea's first team in the League Cup some 3 seasons ago. It's worked by Chelsea back inside the Palace penalty area. Appeals for handball against Werner. Nothing is given. Played back outside the box, and a right-footed effort is the first test for Jack Butland, who took a hasty step back and was able to comfortably bring it into his stride. Worth an attempt from Mason Mount, but a speculative one from 25 yards. Butland can make the save. 0-0.
Yeah, we know Mason Mount has got the ability to whip that one into the top corner from there, but Jack Butland will be pleased to get a good solid touch on the ball and get a touch. But as Scott said, I like Tyrick Mitchell. I want him. When I was watching him playing for England, he plays for Palace. I think just let yourself go and go forward. He's so quick, so dynamic, he's a brilliant defender, but going forward he's got so much to offer, and up against Azpilicueta at his age, that is an important battle.
So on the basis that Palace have sprung a surprise by playing a back three, I just wonder whether, the basis of what you guys have been saying, whether Thomas Tuchel will have it in his mind, maybe James and Azpilicueta the other way round, the more customary way round, with James the right wing back and Azpilicueta at centre half. Might possibly be something that we see a switch. Here's James, played forward towards Jorginho, tries to turn away from Ezra. He's managed that. Kovacic has got it, running towards the edge of the deep, just lost his balance under pressure from the retreating Mateta. No foul, but the referee will put whistle to mouth now as Ezra brings it forward, and it's a free kick to Palace, 20 yards inside their own half.
I think what you would say first of all is that talk about the occasion. We know that Chelsea are used to this type of occasion and Crystal Palace aren't, and there's a lot of youngsters in this Palace side as well, but they look up for this. They look like they're absolutely thriving on what this is all about. Playing here, a Wembley semi-final for the right to play Liverpool in the final of the FA Cup, a competition that of course Crystal Palace haven't won before, so no, they're well up for this, and this is a really good game.
Miracles can happen. Just ask Leicester City, never won the competition before, won it last season. Palace hoping to emulate that feat. They've only got past round 3 once in the last 4 seasons, but each of these Palace players know they can write an indelible chapter in the club's history and write their name into the club's history if they can just win the next 2 FA Cup ties. Palace in possession again with the experienced Ward, working it back for Kouyaté. He will find his goalkeeper Butland, who's nearly 30 these days, drives it forward, left-footed, again looking for the ball over the top. There was too much on that, and Alonso's going to be able to watch it right to the byline at the other end of the field, and it just rolls over. Out of play for a Chelsea goal kick.
There's no point in overplaying that, Jim. I mean, there's, Jack Butland there, he's got to really try and not just knock it over the top, because that's literally an 80-yard ball. If you're going to play it over the top, that's fine, but know who you're playing it to, and that's just giving the ball away.
Reece James will be able to bring it forward. That's a lovely ball into the channel for Werner, and good covering from Anderson, who came across, sniffed the danger and slid in and just got a touch to knock it away from Werner. Butland with a more measured ball forward this time, headed down by Mateta, but Chelsea win the seconds with Azpilicueta, and it's played back to Reece James, and he in turn back for his goalkeeper Mendy, whose only FA Cup appearance this season was in the quarter-finals against Middlesbrough. Balaga and Bettinelli had played in the previous rounds. Chelsea getting through against Chesterfield, Plymouth, Luton and Middlesbrough, so only facing their first Premier League side in this tie in this run in the FA Cup. Palace, for their part, the opportunity to win the Cup without leaving London, which has happened before, but not very often. Ball is over on the left-hand side with Chelsea in possession. Rudiger just a couple of yards inside the Palace half. Good ball chipped out wide for Mason Mount. Turned round the corner for Werner's run. Werner trying to drive it in, and he's won the first corner, which will be taken over on the Chelsea left-hand side.
The first time they've really got him behind, and that front three have worked together between Mason Mount, Werner and Havertz as well. I mean, it's Werner's pace that actually made he was able to keep it in. Good cutback. Good defending in the end from Palace, but at least Chelsea now, after what was a very positive start from Palace, just starting to control the tempo of the game and, keep the possession, which is what they need to do.
There's a good covering challenge by James McArthur, who does know what it takes to win the FA Cup as part of the Wigan side that won it against the odds back in 2013, and he also played in that last Palace final 6 years ago. And the corner will be taken on the Chelsea left-hand side, but only after referee Taylor has just had a word with a few bumping and barging inside the 6-yard box. Swung in now. High defensive clearance comes from McArthur with his head, and then nodded on, but not to good effect by Jorginho, and straight out of play for a goal kick, which will be taken by Jack Butland away to the right-hand side. We played 14 minutes in this FA Cup semi-final on TalkSport. Well, from Scott Minto, here's John Solaka.
Yeah, good defending by Palace, man-to-man marking, a little bit of zonal, not like Liverpool, Man City. I mean, City would just allow Konaté to come in there and dominate Sterling, Foden, Jesus and Grealish, and the big boys stood on the 6-yard box and marked zonally. It's brilliant to watch, very intriguing start, but that centre of the park, it's going to be crucial for me. Jim, Eze is on Kovacic, you've got Schlupp on Juninho, and then McArthur on Mason Mount. If those three, Reece James is actually the out ball, and if he goes to him, then Schlupp's got to come out and they leave gaps.
Anderson bringing it forward for Crystal Palace. Back for Joel Ward, and Anderson's continued his run from centre half out to the right-hand side. Play forward over the top, Mateta hooking it in, but it's easily claimed by Mendy. Zaha had got there, but Mendy's save was routine at the near post from a cross that was easily dealt with. It just bounced invitingly into his hands, and it remains 0-0.
Well, I'll tell you what, I spoke very highly of Antonio Rudiger and how I really believe that Chelsea need to tie him down to a deal, but it's been about 3 or 4 times now the ball has been played over that left-hand side, over the top, and that's kind of got him behind. So Rudiger just needs to give himself a little bit of a slap, wake himself up, because at the moment, going forward in that position, that looks the way that Palace are trying to exploit the Chelsea defence.
Chelsea last won this competition in 2018. Rudiger in that team, and one of several survivors from it who feature in the matchday squad today. Heavy touch from Werner, goes out of play. It's a throw to be taken over on the Palace right-hand side. Still 0-0, and neither goalkeeper has had a difficult save to make up to this point. Last time these two sides met in the FA Cup, was in 1976, which was the first time Palace made it all the way through to the semi-finals. Malcolm Allison, the manager there. They were a third division team, and they won 3-2 at Stamford Bridge to knock Chelsea out. Allison then left when Palace didn't get promoted at the end of that season. Terry Venables took over, and the team of the 70s was born really at Selhurst Park. All played forward now, the Palace team of the 20s, which makes us all feel old. Over on the right-hand side, just lose possession with Mateta, and Alonso has it from a very quickly taken throw. He's then knocked it over the top, but far too hard. Nothing that Havertz or Werner could chase, and it goes all the way through for Jack Butland away to the right-hand side. And still, I'm talking about shadow boxing the up a couple of minutes. It's not dissimilar really, 15 minutes on, with both sides still feeling each other out, getting to grips with the formation that the others are playing, and so much at a premium.
I think that's what I was just about to say from Chelsea's point of view, that they're still getting used to it, where Palace are meant to be. I'm sure Thomas Tuchel would have said, look, we expect them to play this system. That system hasn't proven to be the case here, so it looks like they're still working out themselves. That's the really important thing, that actually players on the field now need to problem solve. But the modern day player now just waits for the manager to tell them what to do, and until they do, carry on playing the same thing. These are top Chelsea players, top world-class players. They need to work it out. At the moment they haven't, and Jack Butland really hasn't really had a shot on target to save.
Azpilicueta's just throw one down the line, and there was a coming together between Havertz and Guehi, which saw the Crystal Palace man fouled. And it's a free kick that Palace will take in their left-back position, and it remains Palace 0, Chelsea 0. If you're just joining us, a late winner for Newcastle in the Premier League today to beat Leicester by 2 goals to 1. West Ham won, Burnley won, a result that didn't really favour either of them too much. Rangers winning the Scottish Cup semi-final, and this one still 0-0. The day that Chelsea have also made it through to the Women's FA Cup final. Again, seeing off Arsenal at Boreham Wood today. A free kick taken long. Chelsea claiming it should be their throw, but it's been given the other way, and Mitchell has the ball in his hands as Patrick Vieira just makes his way to the edge of the technical area and stands motionless, hands in pockets. A man who knows exactly what it takes to do well in this competition. He's got a sparkling record, actually unbeaten in his last 19 FA Cup titles, 15 as a player and 4 as a manager. Last time he lost an FA Cup game back in 2004 in the semi-finals, Arsenal against Manchester United. We extend that record to 20 today. Chelsea have possession though, and they'll be able to work the ball forward. Now Azpilicueta can make a run, and he got goal side of Mitchell for a moment, laid it back for Mount in the midfield. He comes down through the left-hand side of the midfield for Jorginho. Quick 1-2 with Rudiger. Jorginho chips it out towards the right-hand touchline. Azpilicueta on the stretch, couldn't reach it, and it goes out of play pretty innocuously for a goal kick that'll be taken by Palace's Jack Butland. We've got 19 minutes behind us, it's still 0-0. John Sloan.
Yeah, that was started from a careless loose ball from Joel Ward, just on the halfway line, and it broke the lines, and Chelsea were able to break forward, and it was blind as well. We can't afford to do that as Palace. It's been so controlled so far. You don't want to give the ball away in that middle of the park.
Palace driving it forward again, long, looking for Mateta. It came off the back of Reece James and almost fell for Zaha. Christensen knocked it away. Mateta's done well to control a ball that just drops out of the sky. He killed it instantly. Schlupp for Eze. Now back for MacArthur. Schlupp on the left-hand side of the Crystal Palace midfield can find Anderson stepping forward from the defensive line into space. Now Eze will work it out to the right for Ward. Back for Ebery Eze again. To halfway, Palace more than happy just to maintain possession, even if they have to lose a little bit of territory in the process. Goes back for Kouyaté and to Henderson, and now they'll come forward with Guehi into the feet of Mateta, but he couldn't get it to stick. It was knocked away by Christensen. Chelsea try and work it forward briskly, but it was very well read by Kouyaté, who just stepped up and got there ahead of Timo Werner. Palace have it again with Mitchell. Mitchell down to the left-hand touchline. There's a little coming together and the ball's gone out of play. Jorginho, to his credit, didn't really claim that he was fouled. It's throw instead to Palace on the halfway line.
Tyrick Mitchell had a great opportunity there to play a little 1-2 and then run in behind Azpilicueta. And even if he wasn't going to receive the ball, let your immediate opponent know that you're quicker, you're stronger than him, and he's going to have a tough day. And I feel he's just playing within himself at the moment, Mitchell. He's a young lad, gaining experience all the time this season. Obviously what happened playing for his country as well would have given him a lot of confidence, but just feels he needs to come out of himself a little bit more and really try to impose himself, especially when you're playing wing back against wing back. It really is a very individual contest that you've got. At the moment he's not able to get in behind Azpilicueta. We'll be absolutely delighted with that so far.
Yeah, and he's only the 60th senior game of his career. He's got England internationals behind him now, but only in friendly, so from that point of view you'd argue this is the biggest game he's ever played, and he's playing in an unfamiliar position as well at left wing back as opposed to a more orthodox left back.
Yeah, he's a very confident young man, but that's the one bit of his game that I think he can add. It's just stretching opponents and going that way because he's so quick. And there he could have demanded of Schlupp, couldn't he? Make him your body language here. And then as you're saying, Scotty, if your body language is running beyond, Schlupp will just put it in there and he's away.
And I'll tell you what happens as well, and I had this both in a positive and a negative situation when playing wing back. When you know you've got that person in terms of pace, you just go for it all the time and you know that he's worried. When you know that that person is quicker against you, well then you're literally always thinking defensive and not going forward yourself.
Well, Mitchell's performance will be one of several that is being analysed firsthand here by Gareth Southgate, the England manager, who's here today, looking at him, looking at Mark Gurhey, speaking, I'm sure, to Conor Gallagher at some stage as well, although Gallagher is just a very interested bystander, nothing more than that. Ball played forward towards Mateta. Here's another that certainly on the England radar, even if he's yet to feature. Of course, there's several established internationals in the Chelsea side, the likes of Mason Mount. Here's Rudiger, played forward towards Jorginho. Back for Mendy, takes a touch and just has to go back a little bit inside his 6-yard box, but never any danger for him there. James now forward through the midfield for Jorginho. Jorginho to Kovacic to Rudiger. It's about 20 yards inside his own half. And he's played it back to his right-hand side for Christensen. And Christensen will work it forward in the centre circle for Jorginho. Still both sides very much feeling each other out, neither able to get a control of the game in any discernible area up to this point. Reece James has got possession. Down towards Azpilicueta, turned down the right-hand touchline off Mitchell and out of play for a throw that will be taken on the Chelsea right-hand side by Cesar Azpilicueta. It's still 0-0.
I think Patrick Vieira would be the happier of the two managers at the moment. You know, we wondered how the youngsters of Palace in this type of occasion would deal with it. They've dealt with it very well. The tactics have been spot on. It looked like they're trying to play more direct and playing in behind Chelsea when they possibly can. And Chelsea at the moment are still playing in second gear. You know, I talked about the first 20 minutes after what's a really tough game midweek. Sometimes you can't quite be at it.
Ball fired over the top, and Havertz leaning back, got the jump on his marker Gurhey, but his header's gone straight into the hands of his goalkeeper, and Chelsea are going to have to make a change. Ruben Loftus-Cheek has been readied for a good 30-60 seconds or so, and it's because of the problem for Kovacic, who as soon as the ball went into the hands of Butland, sat down in the midfield, and Loftus-Cheek for Kovacic is going to be Chelsea's first change. I think we're looking at a replay, try and ascertain how and what he's done there, Scott.
Yeah, it's a pretty innocuous tackle, to be honest with you, and I do think it's a big blow. He's Chelsea's best midfielder at the moment. Jorginho hasn't been able to impose himself on the game so far. We talked about, didn't we, Jim, on Tuesday, how big a night it was for Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and I'll tell you what, he responded really well and did fantastically. Now it looks like he's going to be playing in more his preferred position, which is as a central midfielder, but it's another big occasion for him.
So Loftus-Cheek rather than Conte coming on.
That's interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. Conte's not been at his best this season. He's had his injury problems. He's not been consistent. I wonder whether he's got something that is not quite 100% and perhaps could only maybe give half an hour or something like that. Because one, they rightly asked the question, should he not have been starting? And I think it would be a toss of a coin between him and Jorginho. So when one of them come off, you'd expect a World Cup winner to therefore come on. And he hasn't.
So Kovacic comes off, and it's a former Palace man who comes on. Ruben Loftus-Cheek had a couple of dozen appearances on loan at Selhurst back in the 17-18 season. Another whose versatility has been a real boon for Thomas Tuchel. Last time I saw him in the FA Cup, he played on the right of three centre-halves at Luton, and he played at right wing-back in a kind of unorthodox right wing-back role the other day. As Scott was alluding to, he's now playing in central midfield here. So we can get back underway. Kovacic made it off the field under his own steam, but was clearly in some distress, having injured his ankle earlier in the game. Couldn't continue, and play will now get back underway. Butland punting it forward all the way through actually to his opposite number, which wasn't his intention, and Mendy will now play it on towards Christensen, and Chelsea will build once more. But Schnupper's put his foot in the midfield. Quick little 1-2 between him and Eze, who's caught by Mount, and it's a free kick to Palace. Not in a shooting position by any stretch of the imagination. It's 25 yards outside the penalty area, but it's a good area to be able to tease one over the top of a high Chelsea back line here.
Yeah, this is a great old cheer. They'll just take their time, diffuse this, get the big men up front, and then look for good delivery. I don't know if they've got anything particularly planned. Patrick Vieira is bright like that, but I think they'll probably look for Joe Chimanison or Koyate's good in the air.
Tell you what, Sal, Chelsea holding a very high line indeed.
8 yards outside the box, and they did tease it over the top for Anderson's run. He didn't get there, just too much on the pass.
Yeah, he tried to come from deep, and as you say, Scott, that line was very high. I don't like that. It does invite, but Mendy, great starting position, and he was always favourite for it. He was alive, but again, Palace looking bright.
The problem for Palace was it was almost a straight ball because they were down the middle. If it had been 10 yards either side, then I think they could have played it as a diagonal, and then the run could have been better. But because it's almost a straight ball, it has to be such a perfect ball over the top, and because Mendy's position was so good at the start, then he was able to come out and claim it.
I mean, what I thought he'll do is Tyreek Mitchell just gets into a position out here, pass it to him, open up the angle, and then he drills one to Anderson and Kiyate at the far post.
Now Chelsea win a corner as they look to be a little bit more direct, and Anderson was forced to slide in near the edge of his own penalty area. He got a touch to the ball, which was important from a Palace perspective, but it was too heavy a touch, and Button scampered after it but couldn't stop it going out of play for a corner, which Reece James is going to go across to take over on the far side as we're looking at the pitch, the top right hand corner of the pitch. James in front of the Palace supporters with a chance to bend one in. He's got Havertz on the edge of the penalty area. Rudiger and Loftus-Cheek are there as well. Lonzo on the edge of the 6-yard box. Werner and Azpilicueta right in front of the goalkeeper, and they'll do it all again as Joel Ward comes across the head behind.
We saw Chelsea score from a set piece, didn't we, midweek? We know that Palace are very strong with set pieces. This is one of those games at the moment because Chelsea are not bringing their A game so far, where it's very, very tight indeed. Not too many shots on target. Set pieces could be absolutely crucial.
Another opportunity to try and fire it in from Reece James, and again he only hits a Palace man. It's MacArthur. Mount trying to get to the loose ball on the edge of the penalty area was denied by Zaha, who has hardly seen anything in terms of possession so far, but now he's got it, and now he can turn, but Christensen just in the right place to knock it away. Palace will try and work it again, but Ward's pass for Zaha was too heavy. On the counter-attack, Palace look promising, but they just can't measure the passes at the moment. It's the type of pass that Ward really, as a more conventional fullback rather than a wingback, isn't used to playing with regularity, and he's just overhitting them. Chelsea will bring it forward at the other end, and it's Werner, and he'll try and take on Kiyate, and he has clipped it inside the box, and it's volleyed, but completely miscued by Azpilicueta. It's just come off the top of his boot and spun out of play for a goal kick.
Well, if you're going to pick a player to hit it on the volley when the ball's coming at you 100 miles an hour and get the technique on target, as good a player as he is, you wouldn't be choosing Azpilicueta, not even in your top 5. But look, I'll tell you what, it's starting to open up a little bit now, isn't it? Crystal Palace should have created a chance, and you're right about Joe Ward. Normally he's a right back, so he wouldn't normally be getting as forward as he did there. It wasn't a great ball for Zaha, and then suddenly Chelsea counter down the other end. And it might be that Chelsea, for all the top-class players that they have and the way they normally like to control the tempo of the game, the best way for them to score, for Palace to have an attack and suddenly use the pace of Havertz and definitely Werner as well in the counter-attack.
Hey, you're listening to live coverage of the FA Cup on Talk Sport thanks to Neutrogena T-Gel Therapeutic Shampoo. And it's 0-0 between Crystal Palace and Chelsea. Possession is 63-37 in Chelsea's favour. 3 attempts, 2 on target for them. Not a single attempt for Crystal Palace so far. And those raw statistics makes it sound pretty one-sided. It hasn't been. It hasn't been at all. Neither side have been able to get a foothold in the game. I don't think Palace will be unduly fazed by that. Chelsea maybe just a little bit more, and they've been forced to make an early change as well, with Kovacic going off injured to be replaced by Loftus-Cheek in the midfield. Chelsea have it again here with James. A lot of Chelsea's possession has been in the midfield as opposed to being in the kind of area that could hurt Palace, and that's something which they will be hoping to improve upon. Loftus-Cheek works it to his left. Now Rudiger can bring it forward, given the licence to push forward from centre-half and finding pockets of space as he does so. Loftus-Cheek, faced up by Eze, just works it to his left for Rudiger, and it comes back via Jorginho to Christensen. Now Christensen will make his way forward. To his left is Rudiger, still waiting. Now Timo Werner dropping off. Hive of Industry playing it out to Marcos Alonso on the Chelsea left. And the Blues in all yellow today, kicking from left to right in this first half. Possession very easy for them at the moment. Palace are not putting too much pressure on the man in possession. James drives one in, which is headed away. Flicked on them by Mateta. Chelsea work it back with Jorginho. You can almost see that Palace are just trying to invite Chelsea onto them for the turnover of possession to be able to release Mateta and Zaha on the counter.
At the moment, both teams, when the other team gets the ball, they're making themselves very compact as well. So it's, at the moment, Chelsea not able to break Palace down. I've talked about how it might be their best way is a counter-attack, and Palace certainly with the pace of Zaha and Mateta will be looking to try and do something similar as well. Of course, when Chelsea have the ball, they have to get 10, 11 men behind. At the moment, as I say, I did wonder whether Chelsea in the first 20 minutes would still be a bit leggy from what happened midweek, and that's what it's been so far. We're over the half-an-hour mark. I think Patrick Vieira, despite what the stats say, he'll be absolutely delighted.
Christensen receiving the ball from Jorginho, works it to his left for Rudiger. Now it goes out towards Marcos Alonso, an opportunity for him to take on Joel Ward, and he has been able to stand up across. Mitchell gets it away from Azpilicueta, and then as it's just played by Jorginho down to Mount, he's then back and skied it over the crossbar. We've got 12 minutes to go to half-time. We've brought you all 4 FA Cup semi-finals over the course of the weekend, from both the Women's FA Cup and the men's as well. Tomorrow, 4 live and exclusive EFL games coming your way on TalkSport 2. Middlesbrough Huddersfield at 12:30, Plymouth Sunderland at 3, Bristol City Sheffield United at 5:30, and then Forest, I still believe that automatic promotion's on the agenda for them at home to West Brom. That's an 8 o'clock kickoff, and Adrian will have all the goals as they go in on Game Day Live here on TalkSport from 1 o'clock tomorrow, on a busy day of EFL action, including, amongst those other games, Barnsley, Peterborough and Coventry, Bournemouth. We're going back with more on Tuesday. Adrian going round the grounds, including news from Liverpool, Manchester United and Fulham against Preston. Wednesday night, it's live and exclusive on TalkSport, Manchester City against Brighton in the Premier League, as the title race continues to develop. It's a 7:45 kickoff Wednesday night on TalkSport. Palace turned over possession and done it very ably. Slot almost over to release Zaha. Christensen got his defensive angles right to get it away. Jorginho relieved. He was the man that had lost it in the midfield. Mateta will now play forward out towards Zaha. Fouled by James. And a chance for Palace to bend one in from the left-hand touchline here. And this is another decent set-piece opportunity, John.
Oh, fantastic play by Palace, and it was all front foot, and they hunted it down. First they robbed Jorginho, didn't go through, then MacArthur's onto it straight away on the front foot, wins it again, and Wilfried Zaha just tried to roll his marker, but got fouled in a great position to try and in-swinging ball into the box, right across that 6-yard box, and go and attack it.
So Eze's the man that has come over to deal with this. Nearly everybody is forward. The 2 wing-backs have stayed back, but they're still only 20 yards outside the penalty area for Palace,
So
Mitchell
high.
and Ward. And again,
So high.
I mean, football is all about fashion.
I mean, stay onside. This is one of those where you think, right, okay, don't go offside. Just get a good starting position and attack it. Mendy's going to obviously try and deal with it, anything around the penalty spot.
These high defensive lines are really very much in vogue at the moment as the ball is swung in by Ez. It's half cleared, Kouyaté through a crowd, and what a save from Mendy. First one was good, the second one sensational. The offside flag has now come up, and and it's a free kick to Chelsea, but the initial shot came in from the edge of the penalty area. Mendy dived to his left to be able to get that away, and as it was worked back in, he made a sensational save, and that really is goalkeeping the highest order from a man who seems to save his best for playing at Wembley. It's brilliant double stop from Mendy.
Best chance of the game so far, and it's come to Crystal Palace, and headed out. It was a wonderful strike, you have to say, from Coyote. Really good save, and Anderson was there. I mean, he was offside, so it wouldn't have mattered, but Mendy didn't know that at the time. That's a wonderful double save, giving him lots of confidence. Jim, let's have a £1 bet as if it goes to penalties, who's going to be the goalkeeper?
I think it comes off the post, doesn't it? Does it?
The second way, I think he got his hands to it, flick it onto the post, but the first save was an extra from Kouyaté.
Yeah, I think you bring on Arrizabalaga for the penalties.
Yeah, I'm happy to have that bet with you, Scott, because I think that's what would happen. But there's got to be a lot of football yet for us ever to find out. At the moment, it's academic,
and Palace would take that. Let's be fair. You know, they have been really good. We didn't expect these tactics. The tactics will work. I did wonder and worry that Chelsea might be a bit leggy at the start. That's happened. Haven't seen them get out of second gear so far. And this sort of direct play from Palace, it's not really opening Chelsea up, but it is certainly putting them under pressure.
So, you know, Palace usually play out the back, very patient. Gueye and Anderson split and the fullbacks get it, but Patrick Vieira's just said, look, let's not mess around at the back, let's get up and go and play in Chelsea's half, and don't give him a chance to come and set traps and get on top of you and lose it in that defensive third and give away opportunities.
And with respect as well, I think the Palace defenders would be comfortable with that. They'd be more than happy to say, okay, in this type of occasion that they haven't played before, don't mess around with it at the back, especially after watching the game yesterday, which they would have done.
Ball is worked forward here. Could that be a penalty for Chelsea? No, the referee's given a free kick to Palace. And is he going to produce a yellow card here for Kai Havertz, who's the man that went down inside the penalty area? It looked as though in real time that there was a coming together right on the edge of the box. Havertz is looking up and receives a yellow card for a dive. Anthony Taylor in absolutely no doubt whatsoever about what he saw there, and it's a yellow card for a dive. We're looking at a replay now.
Brilliant refereeing. When I saw that, I thought it was a pen, and looking at that from this angle here, wow. But great refereeing, Anthony Taylor. But Gueye, really composed, never went for it, did he?
No, I think that's really good defending from what is a very young and experienced player, because it was a wonderful touch from Havertz, I have to say. It was almost from behind him, and he got it, just played in front. And there Gueye realised, therefore, if I make that challenge, I'm not going to get the ball, I'm probably going to take him. It could be a penalty. I think it might just have been outside the box. So that experience then that he does have, and the football intelligence, don't even stick your leg out. He didn't. Havertz went down, he anticipated the leg out, and it was a really good decision from Anthony Taylor.
Kai Havertz, and this is an observation rather than a criticism, but he was expecting the leg to come out, and he kind of lent his right leg out, broke his stride very slightly to invite the contact, and then went to ground, and he gambled that the contact would be there. Had there been contact, it would have been a penalty.
Absolutely, and do you know what? Even if there wasn't contact, if Gueye had stuck his leg out and it looked like it could have been, then I still could have given it.
The ball is played forward, and it beats Havertz and goes through the goalkeeper. From here, I thought it was a penalty. Seeing the replay, Anthony Taylor has made a very good call. He got it absolutely right. Alex Crooks behind that goal, much closer than us. Crookie, how did it look to you?
I have to say, from here, Jim, I thought it was a penalty. So fantastic refereeing. Just looking over to the two managers, Patrick Vieira, arms folded, very confident as he carries himself in that technical area. Thomas Tuchel, usually very animated, he's been a bit subdued this afternoon. Maybe he feels flat.
Palace will be able to bring it forward with Eze, who's done well to stay on his feet under duress. He's found Mateta, and Mateta just plays it back on the half-turn to Schlupp. Now to Mitchell level the edge of the penalty area into the feet of Zaha. Zaha will try and take on one too many Chelsea players. He got past Jorginho, but he couldn't beat James, who recovered well and then plays it into Zaha, out of play for a Chelsea throw in their right-back position. 5 to half-time, it is 0-0.
Vinicius couldn't beat James midweek, and Zaha couldn't either, but again, Tyrick Mitchell, it was almost like a half 1-2. It wasn't a dominant one, and it was in a perfect position to get in behind Azpilicueta there. And again, that's why I think the young lad is so talented. I think he's got a great chance of winning so many caps for the rest of his career, but he's got to impose himself a little bit more on Azpilicueta. I think there's more for him to come in this game.
He's got possession now, sorry John, as he chips it over the top for Mateta's run, who's bustling with James and ended up tackling himself. The presence of James was enough. Mateta tried to pull it back to keep it on the island and flipped it with his right foot into his left ankle and straight out of play for a goal kick.
Yeah, he's strong, James, there, but as Scott said, it was a perfect opportunity right on the edge of the box where, you know, Tyreek Mitchell just gives it and goes and says, give it to me, and then if he doesn't get it, then he lambasts that, you know, says to Zaha. But he's got to let them know that he's on and they've got to play that ball.
Azpilicueta tries to work it down the inside right channel. Guehi comes across the cover. His touch takes it down towards the corner flag, and he's flicked it into Mount, who came to close him down, and it goes out of play for a throw. And you can name just about any attacking player on the field at the moment and say that they've been quite subdued. They haven't really been blessed with service. They've only been sort of 6.5 out of 10. It's a game that, it's an old commentator's cliche. When you call a game intriguing, that means that not a lot's happening.
Not full of chances.
It's not full of chances, but it
doesn't mean it's not fascinating.
No, it's not. It is genuinely intriguing. There's sometimes games that are intriguing aren't intriguing. This is genuinely intriguing, with a capital I. It's a close one, a very tough one to call at the moment, and still now the goalkeeper has had a difficult save to make as we approach half-time. It's TalkSport, and it's 0-0. Here's Reece James through the midfield towards Jorginho, and on the half-turn it's just worked round the corner by Azpilicueta. Coming to meet it is Zaha in the midfield, and he's just worked it back into the feet of Eze, and then he goes to the ground. He's fouled by Christensen, who also got hurt in the process. Free kick to Palace inside the centre circle, and Zaha getting back to his feet. What it does have is the feeling of a game. The first goal, more than usual, is going to be absolutely critical.
Yeah, I agree, and it also looks like Palace, and certainly in the midfield, are just that half a yard sharper at the moment. They're closing down much better than Chelsea are, working hard without the ball. And Chelsea are wanting to play at their pace, and at the moment they're not able to.
It's going out of play for a throw, which Alonso will take in Chelsea's left back position. He did well, came across and covered and played it off Ward. Throw taken quickly. Jorginho able to turn near the edge of his own penalty area and just lay back for Christensen. Christensen put under a little bit of pressure, and he lip service really from Schluppin closing him down. Havertz is out on the right. Azpilicueta then plays it forward, trying to get Mason Mount in, but it's knocked away by Anderson. And MacArthur will go back for Guehi, and he will play it all the way back for Butland, who has time to applaud. More good defensive work from the men in front of him, and then they'll play out from the back.
Do you know what, Jim? For as much as Patrick Vieira perhaps would have taken 0-0 so far, I think they're also missing a little bit of a trick here if they are to go on and win this game, because I don't think Chelsea can be as bad in the second half. It's almost like this is a bit of a warm-up for them in the first half, and Palace need to take, you know, advantage of that, as well as they've done, and the tactics have been spot on and they've tried their best. You still get the feeling that Chelsea have another couple of gears, whereas at the moment Palace are playing at their maximum.
So what do Crystal Palace need to do to be able to turn the screw and take advantage of the fact that Chelsea, by their own high standards, have been a little bit subpar?
Listen, you're playing against European champions here. This is a top Chelsea side, and Palace and Vieira will be absolutely delighted with this performance in the first half. It's everything they could have asked for. Maybe a couple more chances, but they can't do any more. For Chelsea, I think Timo Werner getting one-on-one with Chiarte, opening his legs up and getting behind, and Kai Havertz have got to do more. They haven't been able to get Mason Mount in the game, which has been brilliant. And as Scotty said, Chelsea probably can't be, I hope they are, but they can't be, this subdued in the second half. They've got so much more to offer. They've got changes to come, but I think Palace are growing into this. As this game opens up, it's all about concentration.
I think a really good way for Palace is sort of let Chelsea midfield have the ball, then pounce. They've done it a couple of times, win the ball back, and then a couple of times where they tried to slip Zaha or Mateta in, and they haven't been able to do that. A better final pass would then put one of those two strikers in on goal.
We're in a couple of minutes at the end of the first half for the injury to Kovacic. And it's headed away by Christensen as he bounces through the midfield, helped up high in the air by Havertz, and still pretty fragmented and scrappy and frenetic, and another free kick goes Palace's way. Sorry, sir.
No. Just, that's I think, sort of win the ball back off Chelsea. I think if they can try and get Mitchell more into the game, impose himself on Azpilicueta will be delighted what's happened so far, really. And the other side really neither wing back Joe Ward nor Alonso has got forward. I think from both situations, both managers be wanting their wing backs to get a bit more involved there. And as we've said before, set pieces. That first goal, I think you're right, Jim, will be absolutely crucial.
Now Anderson has taken a free kick and he's played it down towards the left-hand corner flag. Mitchell's pulled it back. It's Schlupp, who can't get himself into a shooting position. It just bobbled away from his favoured left foot, and Chelsea were able to clear. Anderson then will tease it back over the top. Couldn't find Zaha because he would have been offside, but Mitchell went for it. Chelsea headed away. Out of play for a throw. Thiago Silva acts as ball boy. Mitchell will take the throw, which is level on the edge of the Chelsea penalty area. Only got about 40 seconds left in the first half. Zaha flicks the throw on. Rudiger forced to play it and very nearly cleared it into the on-rushing Jeff Schlupp. But he got a second bite of the cherry and was able to get it away. Palace pick it up again, but deeper. Eze turned one way and then as he turned the other, he deceived Mason Mount. There's one last chance for Crystal Palace to be able to get the ball forward and get their noses in front before half-time. It's still 0-0. Chelsea again with this very high defensive line. Standing a line of 8 of them, but 10 yards outside the penalty area. So a big gap for Eze to try and hit. He's floated it in towards Anderson, who flicks it on. Christensen heads it away. And we get to half-time with neither goalkeeper overextended. Mendy making one outstanding save from Cheikhou Kouyaté, but neither side have really been able to exert a great influence. Palace with a change of shape that nobody expected. And Chelsea have taken a little bit of time to fathom it out, maybe a little bit of a hangover from the Bernabeu as well. They've not been at their best. Palace haven't been able to take advantage and create too much, but it's a fascinating encounter. We're still no closer to knowing who it is that's going to be playing Liverpool because at half-time, it's Palace 0, Chelsea 0. Adrian, thank you very much indeed, and there's no sign of any further changes at half-time. Remember that Chelsea had to make one in the first half. Mateo Kovacic going off with an ankle problem. It's replaced by Ruben Loftus-Cheek. So they line up with Mendy in goal. James, Christensen and Rudiger, the three centre-halves. Azpilicueta at right wing-back. Alonso on the left. Jorginho alongside Loftus-Cheek. And then Mount buzzing around behind Havertz and Werner. Palace in this unaccustomed formation, playing with a back three in front of Jack Butland, of Kouyaté, Anderson and Guehi. Ward and Mitchell, the wing-backs. MacArthur and Schlupp in midfield with Eze, and then Zaha and Mateta playing up top. 3-5-2 formation. Back underway. Chelsea in all yellow are kicking from right to left. In this second half, they're attacking the end of the ground, the old tunnel end, if you like, of the old stadium, away to our left-hand side. And that's the end that houses the Chelsea fans. They're in all yellow, Palace in their customary red and blue stripes with blue shorts and socks. And they're on the back foot from the off with Kai Havertz in possession here for Chelsea. And he's just trying to work it in towards Loftus-Cheek. Havertz again, right-hand side of the penalty area. Tries to get the ball in and succeeds, but he can't find Werner. It's headed away by Ward. And then further on by Mitchell over on the left-hand side. But a much more dynamic start to the second half here for Chelsea, who then give it away. But Mateta has nobody up there with him, no out ball. And Joel Ward comes forward and skates around a couple of challenges and does well to win it back for Crystal Palace. Eze just tries to play the way that he's facing, realises that there's nothing on, so chips one forward on the turn with the left foot. Ward then gets pushed by Rudiger and turns it forward for Kouyaté. No foul on him by Rudiger. Jorginho wins it back. Loftus-Cheek back for Jorginho, goes back inside his own half for Christensen. Out towards James, but it was very noticeable from the first whistle Scott Minto that Chelsea just playing with a little bit more tempo and a little bit more dynamism.
Absolutely, that's what we were expecting really in the second half. It was said in the first half, it's almost like that was a bit of a warm-up for them to get all the lactic acid out of them, and I'm sure Thomas Tuchel, just quickly said, he was sitting there probably feeling a bit leggy himself. He would have had a go at the lads at half-time. That wasn't good enough, and already in the first minute they're stepping it up.
Mount finding Alonso, just coming in off the left-hand touchline here. Back to Mason Mount again. Mount goes further back for Rudiger. Rudiger chipping in across the face of Wilf Zaha. It's played forward by Christensen to James on the right of the three centre-halves for Chelsea. Azpilicueta at wing-back. Havertz plays it back for James. And James turning just inside his own half for Christensen. The last 9 games between these two teams have all seen Chelsea win. Palace's last win back in 2017 was Zaha scoring the winner in a 2-1 victory. Earlier this season, Chelsea won 1-0 at Selhurst with Hakim Ziyech scoring in the 89th minute. And back on the opening day in Patrick Vieira's first game in charge, Chelsea comfortably running out 3-0 victors. They can't find a way through yet. Mount playing it back for Rudiger. Rudiger chips it back out towards the Chelsea right. They're stretching Palace a little bit more in this second half as well. Loftus-Cheek. James showing for him over on the right flank. Controls it, plays it back. There's, as I mentioned, more tempo about Chelsea, but there's still patience. Jorginho into Kai Havertz, who dropped back in and split the lines for a moment. Just trying to give McArthur something different to think about. Havertz again, then with a little jump flick with his right foot, flicks it into Ward, now to play for a Chelsea throw. Chelsea much the better side in the opening exchanges of this second half at 0-0 in the second FA Cup semi-final on TalkSport.
I'm not sure Palace have touched the ball in the second half, to be honest with you, Jim. And someone who I want to see step up more in this second half is Mason Mount. You know, he's playing in behind the front two. We know what a class player he is, both with and without the ball, but he was pretty much non-existent and just half a yard off everything as well in that first half, giving away silly fouls. So I want to see him on the ball and just directing traffic a bit more.
He's in space on the Chelsea left-hand side. Havertz will just flick it into his path now. Mount comes back outside the box. Right-footed effort. Got with minimal backleft, plenty of power into it, but not the direction he wanted, and it's whistled over the bar. Into the Chelsea fans. Out of play for a goal kick. 4 into the second half. It's Chelsea 0. Palace 0. Here's John Sarr.
Yeah, powerful start to the second half. They've really started at a really high tempo, Chelsea. Looks like Havertz has been asked to drop into a 10, go and get on the ball in there. Alonso's pushing up. He's actually playing Loftus-Cheek more as an 8, go and run forward, and they're asking questions, and then he's asking Mount to drop into little pockets where he can pick up the ball like there and then drive inside and have a shot across it. So really good start to the second half for Chelsea.
Yeah, the opening 5 minutes of this second half is the one spell of the game so far where it's been blindingly obvious who's on top. Didn't see that at all in the first half from either team. Here's Timo Werner now towards the edge of the penalty area. McArthur with the block, able just to poke it away from Jorginho. Omnipresent threat of a Crystal Palace counter-attack remains for Chelsea, and Mitchell can't launch one here. He's had to turn back inside his own half and find Mark Guehi on the edge of the box, and out of the cleared long, right-footed by Butland. And Mateta spins James, but can't get to the loose ball first, and Christensen sweeps up. And a good play again by Reece James, who plays in Rudiger. All Chelsea possession in this second half so far, with 50 minutes on the clock, still 0-0. Ball at the feet of Rudiger. Goes back to Christensen. Wearing 4 for Chelsea, and now to Reece James. James makes his way forward over halfway. The pitch now pretty much entirely bathed in shadow. What's been another glorious April weekend here weather-wise. Loftus-Cheek has got it. He's coming in off the right-hand side, back for Jorginho. Loftus-Cheek continues his run, then tries to play in Werner, and Kouyaté came out, so too did Butland. Now the loose ball squirms away from all 3 players involved, but significantly Werner couldn't wrap his foot around it to get it past Butland to give Chelsea the lead.
So much better from Chelsea in the second half, it really is, just really stepping it up and, you know, making that more intensity that at the moment Crystal Palace are just running around, and if it carries on like this, then they will start to tire in that Palace midfield and things will open up even more so. It's been a really positive start, and it was just overhit a little bit. Even Timo Werner couldn't get there. Good defending from Coyote, and Butland came out quickly as well. But Chelsea very much on top.
And Werner chasing again, gets to a ball play down the inside right channel ahead of Anderson. And back he comes in towards Havertz, and then laid way back towards Christensen, but Rudiger's made his way forward and fires one in. Butland just had time just to a quick look around, see where his right-hand post was, and correctly gathered that one was going to go some way wide of it. Now to play for a goal kick. Rudiger, who pinged one in from 40 yards the other day, but not able to do it here. And it's still 0-0. But concern for Crystal Palace at the beginning of the second half, John Salaka. What do they need to do to re-establish a foothold in this game?
Well, they need to get hold of the ball. They haven't seen the ball, they haven't had a touch, as Scott said, and Chelsea completely dominating the ball. Loftus-Cheek, they're popping into a lovely hole and playing it forward. And then Werner, you know he's going to get on there, he's got fantastic pace. Worried about Jack Butland's starting position. Really, he should be on the front foot. It looks like they're going to bring on Ayew and change things up. But really, a really powerful start to the game by Chelsea, to the second half I should say, and listen, just kill the game. Kill Chelsea's momentum, get on the ball, sustain some pressure now.
Well, they've got a free kick at Palace, and Eze's going to take it. Ayew's just getting his final instructions from Patrick Vieira and Ocean Roberts. And he'll be on in a moment. Be interesting to see how Palace shuffle things around. Whether they go back to a more customary formation. Play Ayew on the right flank where he normally plays. Eze bending this in towards the far post. He's headed back in and looping one. Mendy does well, takes a step back, catches it above his head. He wouldn't have counted actually, the referee indicating that there was a foul. The ball in the hands of Mendy, so he is allowed to play on. Ayew coming on at this stage is an interesting one, just 8 minutes into the second half, excuse me. As Jorginho plays it forward here for Mount. Mount under pressure from Eze, who goes back for Rudiger, and Rudiger all the way back to his goalkeeper. Who are you expecting to be withdrawn? That's a harsh question, that, because I'm asking you to put your necks on the line here, but I'm not sure myself who it's going to be. Loftus-Cheek plays it forward here, but Guehi stabs it away.
I really can't decide. It's either got to be Eze or Mateta, and they play Zaha up front on his own. But Ayew does a great job down the right. He's so disciplined and so hard working, and he can retain possession as well, and he's starting scoring as well. But there must be someone carrying something to make a change this early.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, John. It is Mateta who will make way. Player came into the match with 3 goals in his last 5 games, including one in the quarter-final against Everton. But he's going to be replaced by Jordan Ayew here, the Ghanaian, who's got a couple of goals this season against Southampton and Arsenal. And how are they going to shuffle things around tactically, I wonder?
Well, I've seen Zaha go up front and Ayew play on the right, give us more discipline on that right-hand channel. But look, I mean, the way Chelsea have started, Patrick Vieira has obviously reacted and said, well, I've got to change something, and that's very early to change things round. But look, you know, Patrick Vieira so far has got most things right, so...
No, I think that's harsh on Mateta, but I think that's really good management from Vieira, and here he's seen something and he doesn't want it to go on for any longer. If it's a goal for Chelsea in the next few minutes, then people are going to be turning around and say, well, why didn't you do something? So while Mateta gives that pace in behind, I think he's been excellent this season and got even better as the season's gone on. Again, Patrick Vieira is being very proactive with what he's seeing and wasting no time whatsoever in changing things, because very much under the cosh Crystal Palace in the second half.
So they were playing with 3 centre halves and MacArthur in front of them, and then 2 central midfielders ahead of him and 2 strikers up front. Zaha is now playing up front on his own. He wasn't sure what the game plan was, and he was looking over to Patrick Vieira with his hands outstretched saying, what's happening here? They moved Eze out to the left. Ayew will play this disciplined role off the right, and Zaha will still be the one that is playing through the middle. Now MacArthur, as the ball's gone out of play for a Palace throw, has just come across into close proximity of his managers, just for a little bit of clarification as to exactly what the game plan is. Palace take the throws 0-0. Ward chipping it over the top here, and Zaha tries to spin in behind Rudiger. But Rudiger can control it, lay back for his goalkeeper, and Mendy's going to be able to get it clear, but Ayew is in there. He's got such a good engine on him, and he was trying to close the goalkeeper down, and forces Mendy to go long. It's out of play for a Palace throw.
I think exactly what he's going to do is stick with the back 5 with MacArthur and Schlupp sat in front of him, and then more of a 3 going forward. Eze on the left, Ayew on the right, and Zaha through the middle, and have a look at that. But Ayew will be asked to join up with Zaha a little bit more, but I think he's going to look to do a job on Alonso. Don't let Alonso and Azpilicueta, the two wing backs, dominate.
Just a moment there, missed by many of the fans as the offside flag came up. It didn't, because it actually went to ground, because the assistant referee dropped it, and he had to just do that little walk of shame about 4 or 5 yards onto the field, pick the flag up, and then stick it up. Yeah, he's offside. Free kick taken.
And you just make
by
sure
Chelsea.
everybody who's listening knows about it as well.
Well, most people missed it, but yeah, it happens. Rudiger's got it, and he's 15 yards inside his own half. We're at TalkSport, Jim Proudfoot, Scott Minto, John Salako, a part of your commentary team today. In-stadium producers, Declan McCarthy and engineer Adam Reed. The ball is played forward out to the right-hand side for Reece James. Good movement from Ruben Loftus-Cheek. It's played out to the right-hand touchline again for Chelsea, just to work the ball back through the midfield. Come down to the left-hand side of the back line for Rudiger. Rudiger to James. Chelsea still dominating possession. Christensen to Rudiger once more. Rudiger to Mason Mount. Mount playing in the left-hand channel. Ziyech has set out to warm up, but he's strolling down the touchline at the moment.
You can see, Jim, it's a 5-4-1 now. You know, Palace without the ball, and it's almost like it's defence versus attack. And, you know, Palace are just not able to get hold of the ball. They're not playing with a 3, it's a 5, it's a 4 in midfield, and Zaha, well, good luck to him, because he's not going to get much service the way things are at the moment.
Did I miss something? What's happened here? Went in at half-time all happy, and all of a sudden come out second half, and I'm thinking, wow, this is a totally different Chelsea side, and they're completely dominating the Palace on the back foot.
James in the midfield went in very strongly on Schlupp. The loose ball broke out towards this touchline. Schlupp has stayed down hurt, and the referee's just asked Christensen to stop. He's got the ball at his feet, just so that they can try and ascertain what the problem is for Jeff Schlupp. Our reporter Alex Crook is behind the goal away to our right-hand side, in front of the Palace fans. Alex, is that nervousness that John Salako is feeling being transmitted by all of those around you?
I think it probably is a little bit, Jim. They were bouncing for much of the first half. They have been a bit more subdued in this second half. They just rose to their feet and started singing the Patrick Vieira song in unison a few minutes ago. But certainly the atmosphere has gone down a notch or two, and I think that is as a result of Chelsea really taking control of the game.
I mean, all the possession has been with Chelsea in this second half, and it's becoming a difficult watch really for Crystal Palace fans at the moment. They are hanging in there, but they're about to reach the hour mark with the clean sheet still intact. Chelsea hoping to be able to exert their dominance. A rare opportunity for Palace to bring the ball forward. Kouyaté tries to roll it down the right-hand touchline for Zaha. Zaha checks, cuts back, tries to take on Christensen. Couldn't nutmeg him, but he didn't lose possession. Does get it in, and it's headed away by Azpilicueta at the far post. And Palace, who hardly had a touch of the ball in this second half, now win their first corner of the game.
That's more like it from Wilfred, making a great run in behind, and then a bag of tricks, fronting up Christensen and then getting across, and just couldn't get someone on the far post. Azpilicueta defending brilliantly. Now important, get great delivery into the box.
So Eza has gone out to take it. Anderson and Guehi stand. Anderson's arms around the shoulder of the young England international. Ayew is in there, a little bit of jockeying for position going on with him. MacArthur waits edge of the area, it's in towards Kouyaté, and he's missed it. He's headed it wide. It's a really good chance. Just leaning back as it came to him, and he's put it a good couple of yards wide. He's only about 6-7 yards out. That was Palace's best chance of the day.
Jim, when you're the second best side, and by some as well, set pieces therefore become even more important. That's a fantastic ball in. Chelsea not able to defend that. Mendy is beaten. He didn't move at all, and it comes off his shoulder. He's right in front of goal, 8 yards out. A proper connection on that, and that's 1-0 Palace. And we're talking about how they've been under pressure and hardly touched the ball, and yet that's the best chance of the game so far.
Now, Anderson has gone down here with a head injury, so you're not missing anything, John.
Yeah, what a fantastic chance. It was great delivery. And I tell you, Kouyaté just reads it brilliantly. He rises like a salmon, and he gets it, just mistimes it, and it comes off his shoulder, but he knows straight away what a great chance that was. So great reaction from Palace, and it's going to be their best chance of scoring is the set pieces.
Absolutely, and do you know what? The way the second half has gone so far, Palace aren't going to get too many chances. So when you do get a chance like that, you have to put it away. It's as simple as that, because Chelsea, again, that will give them even more impetus to try and get forward and control this game.
Well, Anderson is back on his feet, but having received treatment, he's just being told he's got to leave the field. Possession, second half, 86% to Chelsea. And yet it's Palace who've had the one shot on target and have had the best chance that they've missed.
I mean, I'm loving this from Palace. What they've got to do is diffuse the game. You know, just take away Chelsea's momentum every chance they get, take their time, break up the rhythm, and then just make themselves hard to be broken down.
0-0 remains. Zaha tries to find a way through, claims that he was fouled. Referee doesn't agree. Chelsea able to bring the ball forward. It's played by Mount out towards the left-hand touchline for Alonso. You're listening to live coverage of the FA Cup on Talk Sport thanks to Neutrogena T-Gel Therapeutic Shampoo. Chelsea look long. By Mason Mount. Can't get inside the area with the ball. Ward hops up and gets it back to his goalkeeper. Two Portsmouth fans there in direct confrontation with each other. Two boyhood Portsmouth fans, should I say. Zaha again waved back to his feet by the referee. There's no foul by Rudiger. Loftus-Cheek out to the right-hand side for Reece James, who quickly plays it back through the middle for Jorginho as a loose red balloon that makes its way onto the field. Now it goes out towards the right-hand touchline again for Chelsea. Chipped in, headed away by Anderson from the edge of the 6-yard box. Volley further cleared by Eze. Christensen can bring it down. Zaha the only outball for Palace, and he's got a very isolated role at the moment. Chelsea have it again with Rudiger.
Palace are playing a 5-4-1 formation, but it's quite rigid, so Kai Havertz is dropping off in between the defence and the midfield, picking up the ball and then just slipping it in as well, whether it's out wide or trying to get Timo Werner in. That's something Palace have to think about. They're just a bit too rigid and flat in their formation at the moment.
Chelsea have it again. Down towards Marcus Alonso. Alonso in front of AU to Jorginho. Jorginho turning, getting it away from the Ghanaian, back out towards Mount on the edge of the penalty area to Rudiger. Chelsea with all the possession but not really coming close to making it count so far, and Jorginho's just chipped one over the top there for Mason Mount, but he overhit it and it drifts innocuously out of play for a goal kick that Butland will be in no hurry to take, and it remains 0-0 with 64 minutes gone, John.
Yeah, I think Patrick Vieira will be toying with the idea of going back to a back four and go 4-3-3 and bring Elise on, maybe give Eze another 5-10 minutes and then maybe look to change it, but look, all the time it stays at 0-0. You know, Palace are comfortable, but Chelsea have definitely disrupted everything that Palace did well in the first half. This is a completely different game, and the way it's heading, Chelsea look like the more likely team to win it, so Patrick will be thinking about what he's going to do.
Alonso winning the aerial challenge from Butland's goal kick, and then nodded down by Loftus-Cheek. Return on the volley by Kouyaté. Reece James has it inside the centre of midfield, and Jorginho will bring it forward, looking for Werner. Cleared by Anderson, and Guehi to Mitchell, who's put under pressure, and Chelsea want it back in a dangerous area. Jorginho down the right-hand side of the area for Havertz, who can't get an effective crossing. It's volleyed in though from the edge of the penalty area. What a strike that is by Ruben Loftus-Cheek, the one-time Crystal Palace man who's only on the field because of the injury for Mateo Kovacic, and he's lowered one in from the edge of the penalty area. Chelsea's second half dominance has a tangible reward, and they're 25 minutes away from yet another FA Cup final. Palace 0, Chelsea 1, Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
And you have to say Chelsea deserve that. Been such a marked improvement in the second half. Absolutely superb, although Palace up until this moment had the best chance of the game, and where in the first half it was Chelsea being dispossessed by a very vibrant Palace midfield, it's been Chelsea doing that to Palace in the second half, and they won the ball back. Kai Havertz has tried to get the ball across, it's come out to Ruben Loftus-Cheek, he's absolutely free. Then it's about composure. Has he got it? Has he got the ability and the technical side? Yes, he has. It was a wonderful strike, and I tell you what, Jack Butland has no chance whatsoever.
Yeah, it's a horrid mistake by Tyreek Mitchell. He gets caught on the ball just outside the box, and then Kai Havertz drives into the box, and we're on the back foot. Great bit of skill, then pulls it back for Loftus-Cheek, and what wonderful technique from the big guy, and he gets his knee over it, and it's a wonderful strike, rising into the top of the net, and he breaks the deadlock, and that is real heartbreak for Palace, because they've been nowhere near it in the second half, and it's everything that Chelsea deserve, and Patrick is going to have to make a change now. Lise's going to come on, hopefully maybe a change. Edouard, he's probably got to go to a back four now, plan B.
There was a slight deflection which gives Jack Butland even less chance, but it was still a really good strike. And once Palace lost the ball, they all dropped into the box. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, just very clever, just hanging outside. The ball came to him. He actually had so much space he could have taken a touch, but it sat up nicely for him. He didn't need to. With the ability that he's got, what a strike it was. I have to say, Chelsea have been nothing short of superb. As poor as they were in the first half, they've been superb in the second.
I tell you what, guys, sometimes you find out more about a fan base in adversity than you do in triumph. These Crystal Palace fans all on their feet, all trying to draw their team back into this game. Patrick Vieira, as soon as the ball went in, back to the bench.
Ball played over the top here for Timo Werner, but just overhit, and Jack Butland can come out and gather at his feet. And now Palace need to find a plan B, as they've got to chase the game. Chelsea deserving the 1-0 lead. Neither side deserve to be ahead at half-time, but Chelsea a very good value now for the advantage, and Palace engineer situations to get themselves back into the game. They've got a quarter of the game left. We're midway through the second half here on TalkSport, and Chelsea lead it courtesy of Ruben Loftus-Cheek's goal. 1-0. Rudiger has the ball at his feet inside his own half. Plays it forward towards Jorginho. Jorginho inside the centre circle. Now out towards Reece James again. Jorginho will pick it up and turn it forward. A couple of balloons that float down from the upper tier in front of us as it's played down towards Werner, right hand side of the box, and he's checked back. And back towards Loftus-Cheek again. He's got support. Coming onto it is Jorginho on the edge of the penalty area. Clicked in by him. Space for Mason Mount, left hand side of the box. Controls it on his right thigh. Then brings it down. He's forced to turn away. Back out towards the touchline. And goes back for Rudiger. Rudiger squared at his right for Jorginho. Jorginho with a long diagonal out to the Chelsea right, and there's been a foul over there. Mitchell has been brought down, and it's a free kick which will be taken by Crystal Palace. But their need now is increasing. They've got just over 20 minutes, and they need to get a foothold in the game. They need more possession, and they certainly need to start creating some worthwhile chances. That Kouyaté miss is looking even more important now. 1-0 Chelsea.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the body language of the Palace players. Shoulders are getting a little bit slumped. Breathing's got a little bit heavier. They're like a boxer on the ropes, not sure how to get out of this. And Chelsea have been nothing short of fantastic in second half. They're showing their true pedigree. European Championships, they're playing the way they did in the Bernabeu on Tuesday night, just looking absolutely class and dominant.
So your breathing's getting heavier. I don't know about the Palace fans. I tell you what,
Don't take it personally.
No, listen, they have to find a way. He mentioned it earlier, Sal, about just getting hold of the ball. They're playing a 5-4-1 system, and they're not getting anywhere near it. The wing backs are being pushed back. The three centre halves are staying in there. The two central midfielders are just running around, and the wide players, they're running around as well, but no one's going as a team. He has to find a way again, Patrick Vieira, of even tweaking the system or making more substitutions where they can get on the ball. But there's still only one goal behind, and we saw the chance with Kouyaté as well. Set pieces could become even more crucial.
Well, they only have come from behind once this season, Crystal Palace. That was when they won at Millwall in round 3 at the start of this FA Cup journey, which has also seen victories against Hartlepool and Stoke, and then the most emphatic of the lot against Everton. Hakim Ziyech was getting ready to come on a few moments ago for Chelsea. He sat back down again now, but I think he still is going to be introduced very shortly. Benteke will be on for Palace in a moment as well, but first of all a free kick, and Palace have got a player down over on the far side, and a few players just getting involved with each other in close proximity of the referee, and nothing malicious in there. There is going to be a free kick though that is taken by Palace. There's going to be a double change, so we're going to see not just Benteke, we're going to see Elise as well. And so Palace rotating the pack. They've already brought AU on for Mateta, and changes 2 and 3 are imminent here.
Has to do it. He has to do it at the moment. You know, it's 1-0, but it's more than that. They're not able to get the ball. They've been under pressure. They don't even really look like scoring unless there is that corner, but not really got into Chelsea's final third to try and get many corners in the second half. So again, to be fair to Patrick Vieira, he's trying to be proactive and change things around, so fair play to him. But at the moment, Chelsea very much on top.
I think it'll be Schlupp and Eze. I think he'll go back to back four. I don't think he's got any choice. And play Wilfred down the left. Elise will come on down the right, coming on his right foot, and then big Benteke will go up top, try and get the ball into him and win those second balls, those knockdowns, and go direct. Could cause Chelsea problems. That's a roll of the dice for Patrick Vieira.
Well, Palace aren't going to make the journey. No, they are, and it is Schlupp who's the first who's coming off, and it's MacArthur who's going to come off as well. So Schlupp and MacArthur off, and Benteke and Elise coming on. Elise for the 100th senior game of his career, back from injury, man who scored in rounds 3 and 4. He was on Chelsea's books as a youngster, and his younger brother, who's a defender, still is. He's part of Chelsea's under-18 team. Christian Benteke, who scored in the semi-final back in his Villa days against Liverpool. He was a runner-up in the cup. They won that semi-final, and he's on as well. Free kick taken short, and Elise straight away in the action. There's a clever little reverse ball for Zaha to chase, and all of a sudden something different from Crystal Palace we haven't really seen so far. It's gone out of play for a throw. Elise catches it, and from a fan in the crowd, gives it to Joel Ward, and the throw is taken quickly. Into the feet of Eze. It didn't quite break Zaha's way. He was expecting a Chelsea player in front of him to deal with it. They didn't, but he couldn't react, and Guehi will sweep up at the back for Palace, and back to Butland, and now out towards Anderson. Crystal Palace, it's part of the dynamic of the game, the fact that they're chasing with 20 minutes to go and they're 1-0 down. You're expecting they're going to get more possession now, but probably having more, and they will have more now they've made that double change than at any previous stage, John.
Yeah, it's gone to a back four. Kyoto sit in front of that back four, and then they're saying to AU, Zaha, Benteke and Elise, go and drive forward and see if we can get this goal back.
So Ayew has it, he's got Mitchell to his left. Ayew cuts back inside, little ball slipped in, Zaha will get there. Left-hand side of the 6-yard box, comes back out, chips it to the edge of the area. Eze kills it, brings it down, finds Elise. Right-hand side of the penalty area, gets to the byline, a cross comes in, it's Christensen that sweeps up and knocks it away. Back it comes for Ward to Elise again, who's seen so much of it in the couple of minutes he's been on the field. Kouyaté to Ward, and back for Cheikhou Kouyaté once more. And Elise plays it back for Guehi, and Chelsea just being hemmed in at the moment. Baraji Eze, as Ziyech does get ready, and I think N'Golo Kanté is going to be coming on shortly for Chelsea as well. Play back through, in fact it's going to be a triple change because Lukaku is also going to be coming on for Chelsea. Ayew's got possession though for Palace. Can't find a way through. It's got Jorginho to navigate. Lays it off for Zaha. Zaha into the feet of Benteke. Chelsea can mop up, get it away with James, and he's just been able to secure it through the midfield for Loftus-Cheek, and Loftus-Cheek with a good strong run, and 3 against 3 for a moment, playing in for Havertz, right-hand side of the penalty area. Guehi stopped him getting a shot in, and Havertz is then forced to check and come back outside the box, and good defending from Guehi continues with him sticking his foot out and kicking it into Havertz, and out of play he then put his hand out to help Havertz up. It was a hand that was refused unceremoniously, and Guehi says, okay, as you like, and play continues.
Jim, that was brilliant defending there, absolutely brilliant defending from Guehi.
But Rudiger's able to chip the ball forward, and Chelsea are on the front foot again here. Now back for Werner. Werner inside the area, it's Mason Mount. It is 2-0 Chelsea, and yet another FA Cup final is surely theirs, a 5th in 6 years. Guaranteed, you would think, a 2-0 lead with 15 minutes to go. It fell for Mason Mount to the touch, and he side-footed it into the bottom right-hand corner of the net. It's been a big week for him, 4 goals in 3 games. It's Palace 0, Chelsea 2, and that, you would imagine, will just about be that.
You would think so, and again, Patrick Vieira, to be fair to him, making substitutions, and they're looking like, certainly Michael Elise getting more into the game, and Crystal Palace too, and yet Chelsea go down the other end, have been the dominant team in the second half. And again, really good play from this front three. Mason Mount actually is the one who plays in Timo Werner. You can see here, and then he gets the ball back just in between. A great first touch, and he just slides it past Butland, giving him no chance whatsoever. Slightly harsh on Palace after the way they've been just in the last 5 or so minutes, but Chelsea have been the dominant side in this second half.
Yeah, Kouyaté just switched off there. Mount picked it up in a lovely hole, gave it to Werner. Werner just waited, he drifted off the back of Kouyaté, and it's a wonderful first touch by Mount. He is just class, and then he knows where the goal is. Just lovely side foot, and you're always going to say Mount was always probably going to have a little say in this game, because he is just pure class. And
he's not had his best game, I have to say, but players like him can step up at big moments, and that is a big moment.
And he scored with his last touch, because he has come off in the immediate aftermath of the goal. They made a triple change. Mount, Jorginho and Havertz off, and the players that have come on, Conte, Ziyech and Lukaku. Let's go pitch side, Alex Crook.
It was really interesting, Jim. I got a snapshot into the mindset of these Chelsea players when Elise came on and started that attack a few moments ago. Reece James coming across to clear the ball. Antonio Rudiger roaring like a lion at his teammates to keep their defensive shape, to keep their focus. Edouard Mendy joined in as well. You might think this is a bigger game for Palace. Didn't look like it there.
Benteke almost able to seize upon Chelsea, playing out from the back and losing possession, but he didn't break Kouyaté's way quite quickly enough for him to be able to get a shot in, and it's a corner which will be taken in front of you, Alex Crook.
Yeah, I was just saying, Chelsea absolutely focused, and people like Rudiger, speculation about his future, they need to keep him at this football club. He is a real leader.
Elise raises his left arm above his head, left-footed in, swinging delivery, flipped on and over the bar. Anderson with a great chance to halve the deficit. They've had 2 good chances from set pieces. They haven't hit the target with either of them, and it could prove costly. Brilliant delivery in towards the near post, a flick header that took nearly every Chelsea defender out of it, and Anderson, who'd read the script, came in at the far post and has missed the target from about 4 yards.
Yeah, he's a man you'd want him in that position. He rises, he thinks he's... Oh, wow. He rises, he's there, he's just got to hit it on target, and he just mistimes it.
That's a free header.
Yeah, you won't
inside the 6-yard box, and the keeper's nowhere. He has to score if Palace are to get back into this tie.
And he's the one man you would want there. If you wanted one person, Anderson, such a level head, good header of the ball, wonderful flick by Ayew at the near post, gets in front, and then you think Anderson's just got to head it in.
Well, he hasn't scored a goal for Crystal Palace as yet. He's never lost an FA Cup tie in his career, Anderson, but he should have scored there, and the fact that he didn't means that his other run might continue, or might not continue either. The ball is Cheikhou Kouyaté. He's laid it back for Joel Ward. We've got 11 minutes to go. And it is Crystal Palace 0, Chelsea 2, Loftus-Cheek on 65, Mount on 76. A static and relatively sterile first half, which was fascinating without being absolutely riddled with chances. The second half, Chelsea have been much better and have capitalised with 2 goals, and Palace have missed 2 really good chances from set pieces. One at 0-0 and one at 0-2. They will, you would imagine, be costly misses. Gurhi's got it, he's gone back for Butland. We've got 11 to go, Scotland.
And let's not forget, that corner came from a mistake from Christensen, because they were just being a bit too relaxed. The only way Chelsea will not get through to the final is if they just switch off and think they're there already. They've got to stay on it. As Cookie was saying about Rudiger, he certainly won't let his defence do it, I'm sure. But this is in the hand of Chelsea's now, and they cannot let this go.
Thiago Silva's going to be on in a moment, which will be Chelsea's final change. Just more experience to calm things down at the back. You're listening to FA Cup Game Day. And after us, Darren Bent, Darren Ambrose and Alex Crook take your calls. A big day in the FA Cup and the Premier League as well, where Newcastle have beaten Leicester, West Ham held by Burnley. Missed the penalty, Burnley, in that game. 03717 223344, the number. You can get your calls in and have your say on national radio tonight. It's going to be Chelsea celebrating, it seems. Here's Werner. They're 2 up. They shot from the edge of the area from Ziyech, and saved easily by Butland, diving away to his right-hand side. But Palace's need is extreme now, John Salako. They've got 9 minutes per stoppage time, and they need to score twice to get this to extra time.
Yeah, a couple of fantastic chances to Kouyaté. Had a chance as well. Yeah, the Kouyaté header, and as they went into the box, and obviously that Joachim Andersen goal chance had to go in, and now obviously Tuchel's just going to bring Thiago Silva on to short things up. Kante in there. They don't need to do any more than they're doing at the moment, and really not sure how Palace are going to get back into this.
Ayew, left-hand side of the penalty area has been played in. He's got a chance to run at James, and he cuts it back onto his right foot. Everybody claiming it's their ball, and referee Taylor has had a good day. Points for a goal kick, which will be taken by Edouard Mendy, and the change will be made. No surprise that it is Christensen who's coming off, and Thiago Silva will just play in the middle of the back three for the time that remains for Chelsea.
I have to say Christensen has defended really well. In the first half where Chelsea were poor, he had to read certain situations and was absolutely superb. But you don't take Rudiger off and you don't take Reece James off. Just watching him there, Ayew up against him, he's trying to go left, he's trying to go right. You can't get past Reece James. It bounces off James, off Ayew, and in the end Chelsea get a goal kick and just relieve a bit of pressure now.
And they get the opportunity to bring on a man who has won 12 domestic cups in his career, which is not bad, all things considered.
He's half decent, isn't he?
That's a few more than we have, and I'm not contributing any of them. Now the ball is played forward towards Ziyech. Ziyech out towards the right-hand side. Good strong run out towards Azpilicueta. Azpilicueta towards the touchline, and turns and gets it away from Mitchell. And James will just chip it down towards Rudiger. Rudiger heading it on, but away from Alonso. It's brought down by Ward. Ward to Anderson, and Elise saw Rudiger coming and just jumped over Rudiger's challenge. The ball slides out for a throw, which will be taken quickly by Anderson back to his goalkeeper Jack Butland, who will play out from the back. We've got 7.5 minutes of normal time to go. It's Chelsea 2, Palace now.
You've got two choices when Rudiger comes in. You try and take the tackle and you might be out for the rest of the season, or you jump and fall back and get the throw in. That's exactly what Elise did.
Chelsea have got it with Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Finding Conte. Christensen's now made his way all the way round the field, having left when he was replaced by Thiago Silva over the nearest touchline. He's walked all the way around the pitch and gets congratulations from his teammates and those on the bench as he takes his place. Silva working it forward now for Reece James. James to Ziyech. Ziyech giving Lukaku something to chase, but it'll go all the way through to Jack Butland away to our left-hand side. Reaction with the guys after us on the phone in 03717223344, and much more reaction tomorrow morning as well. TalkSport breakfast with Laura Woods, Dean Saunders, and Rangers legend Ali McCoist, who will have had worse Easter Sundays than today. Rangers beating Celtic by 2-1 in the Scottish Cup semi-final after extra time. And Coisty on tomorrow morning with Laura Woods and Dean Saunders. Now play is stopped here because Rudiger is down hurt, back on his feet, and is going to be able to continue. I think he's going to have to, because Chelsea have made all the changes. Palace going to make another one here. Kouyaté coming off, and Luka Milivojevic is coming on. Just a straight swap being made with 6 minutes to go. Just get a few fresh legs on there. Here's Scott Minto.
Yeah, you see Rudiger going down, you need him up just in the last few minutes. This is all about game management for Chelsea now. Just keep the ball. Ziyech had the ball, tried to play Romelu Lukaku in, didn't need to, overplayed it. Just keep the ball, tire Palace out. Patrick Vieira's trying to change things. He's been very proactive, been very impressed with him. First of all, how he's picked the side at the start of the day, a change of system, and then realising that actually Chelsea are now stepping it up and making substitutions. But ultimately, it's about the quality of players out on the pitch, and once Chelsea brought their A game at the start of the second half, it has been very difficult for Palace to try and keep up with them.
Milivojevic inside the centre circle. First contribution from him is a good one. He's chipped it down towards Elise. He's taken it very nicely on his left foot. Just shown inside by Alonso. And still Elise's got it, waiting for Ward to arrive on the overlap. Played back in towards the edge of the penalty area. And then chipped to nowhere in particular by Milivojevic, who's, I think, expecting Ward, who's going to be making a gallivanting run down the touchline. And the ball is just rolled tamely out of play for a Chelsea throw down by the corner flag. It was just remembered better from Palace, but no end product, and Chelsea are nearly there. They've got 4.5 minutes to go. Chelsea 2, Palace 0. The scoreline remains. 2 goals in a 10-minute spell in this second half. Loftus-Cheek and Mount, the men on target. Ball is with Luka Milivojevic again. Ward to Elise, who's been very lively since coming on. They're just caught there by Marcus Alonso. Palace still had it, so referee Taylor allowed the advantage. Gurhi. You making a run ahead of him, just played it into his feet and it comes straight back. Now there's space for Eze, who will get there ahead of Lukaku and drag it forward towards the edge of the penalty area. No foul on him by Loftus-Cheek. Chelsea bring it away, and Werner's going to get there first after a good ball from his compatriot Rudiger. And Werner will run towards the edge of the penalty area. Ward is back, mops up. Just waiting too long before playing the pass, and Palace will get it away.
I don't get that. The pace that he's got up against Anderson. I mean, my goodness me, just go down the side. Don't come inside where there's three Crystal Palace players.
Coming together on halfway between Milivojevic and Werner. Sees Werner belatedly pick himself back to his feet, and Chelsea in possession. We're in the 87th minute. It's 2-0 to Chelsea. James turning it forward, and it goes out to the right flank again. Ziyech. Clever. Down the right hand side. Lukaku. Flag is stayed down for now. He's pulled back inside the penalty area. Now the offside flag comes up. Wouldn't have counted anyway, as it was we're back inside the box for Azpilicueta, who I don't think appreciates the fact that it was a thankless run forward and is now having to make a thankless run back to right wing back at this stage of the game. Only for Lukaku to be offside anyway. Palace will bring it forward. They're 2-0 down. Milivojevic with a long diagonal. Mendy comes and claims on the right-hand side of his box there, ahead of AU. All Chelsea got to do is keep possession there in the FA Cup final.
Let me tell you, Jim, when you're playing wing-back and you're in the 87th minute and you make a run, you want the ball. Azpilicueta didn't get it. And then, of course, what happened? There was a diagonal ball in behind him, but in the end it wasn't good enough and Mendy came out.
There was a telltale slump at the shoulders as well when it didn't find him. Really got to make the run all the way back, get back in possession. In position. He'll be feeling a little bit fresher when he hears the full-time whistle in a few minutes' time. Palace's need now desperate. Just not in a position really to create chances from open play. Elise's been lively since he's come on, but the two misses from set pieces are hugely important factors in this game. Chelsea lead by 2 goals to 0. Elise putting the pressure on Marcus Alonso, just had a little kick out at him, and the Frenchman's conceded a free kick that will be taken by Rudiger on the halfway line, and we're in the 89th minute on TalkSport.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say about Patrick Vieira, I think he's been really good with the system and the change he's made. The fact that Michael Olise has come on and probably has looked Crystal Palace's best player, I just wonder, could he have started? And if he had started, might it have been a bit different? I was thinking that Chelsea would be a little bit lethargic in the first half, and that's where Palace really needed to take advantage. They weren't able to do it. Too little too late once he's on.
Ziyech to Conte. Timo Werner has got Lukaku in the middle, but Lukaku had just dropped off, wanting the ball to be laid back to him rather than attacking the far post area. Werner played it in towards that far post area, and the chance had quickly gone. But Chelsea have it again with Conte. A play forward towards Hakim Ziyech. To Conte again. Conte will turn it back for Rudiger. It will step over from him, and he works it all the way back to his goalkeeper. Johnson, I could just ask you that question about Elise. It's a difficult one for the manager, because we were praising him in the first half, saying he got the system right, the change that nobody was expecting. So did he get the selection right?
He came back from the French under-21s with a knock, with a calf, and he's obviously not trained very much, and it's a tough one to call. It's a big occasion, big pitch, and it just couldn't take the chance of playing him. So unfortunately he's been absolutely fantastic really to this point, and he's been fantastic since he's been on. So
it is a difficult one, isn't it, Sal, where the manager's thinking, well, ideally I'd like to play him, so do I start him?
Here's Lukaku trying to get through inside the penalty area. Now Werner clipping it in. Lukaku's hit the post. Ziyech's effort is blocked and comes off Mitchell and goes out of play for a corner. And Lukaku leans over with his back to goal. He just can't show his face for a moment. It is a miss that will be academic, but he can't believe that he hasn't made it 3-0 there. That is a glaring miss.
I'll tell you what, we've seen 2 opportunities for Lukaku. They're just summing up right now. First of all, he made the wrong run where Timo Werner was going to play him in, and this time he actually gets into the box, and then he can't hit from 3 yards or 5 yards. He just needs to get that on target, hits the post. It really is. It's not happening for him, is it, Scott?
Well, he's scored 3 different FA Cup ties in this run. Should have made that 4 out of 5 games there. Alonso with the corner, brought down by Werner, who's just been named as the sponsors man of the match. We've got 3 minutes of stoppage time. We're in them. And it's 2-0 to Chelsea. It should be 3. Werner, the clever little back heel there. He's enjoying himself. Ziyech, Rudiger is forward. Rudiger with an effort, but he's blocked a good covering challenge. It loops up off Gurley. Just goes over the line and out of play for another Chelsea corner.
He loves those marauding runs, doesn't he? And he's playing like an inside left forward there, coming on his right foot. Really good play. And look, they're 2-0 up in the 91st minute, and you have one of your centre-halves running in that left wing channel. It just goes to show how dominant Chelsea have been in this second half, and they're not bothered about conceding a goal. They believe they can go on and score a third.
Ziyech is going to take this corner. A rare one in the second half for Chelsea. It's a left-footed away swinging towards the edge of the 6-yard box that Benteke can head away. N'Golo Kante will be able to pick it up. Down towards Timo Werner. Werner rolling it forward. Ziyech firing it inside the 6-yard box, and Lukaku just couldn't get there. He beats everybody and goes out of play for a Crystal Palace throw.
Oh, he's got to throw everything at that, Lukaku. He knows it's going to go. Whipped across the face of that goal. And go and get yourself a goal. But yes, Chelsea have enjoyed this second half. They know how to get things done in semi-finals. I think this is the 5th semi-final in 6 years. Unfortunately, they've lost the last 2 cup finals, so maybe the 3rd one lucky against Liverpool, but fair play to Chelsea. They've come out second half completely dominated and deserve this win.
Well, this century they played in 13 FA Cup semi-finals, and this will be the 11th one of those 13 they've won, which is an outstanding record. Here's Marcos Alonso, and the last knocking's now about 30 seconds to go. Lukaku inside the penalty area, sets it up for Werner, who blazes it over the bar. There's not too many bad touches in this game. Timo Werner, that was one of them, but we're going to miss the target, then do it in a moment like that. And credit to the Palace fans who were to the right-hand side, who've been so loud in defeat, as it turns out. Palace fans, the ones that you can hear singing at the moment, the flags being waved away to the right-hand side. As the full-time whistle goes, not Crystal Palace's day. Chelsea's serial winners in Cup semi-finals have another one under the belt. Yet another FA Cup final for Chelsea. Well, they've lost each of the last 2, but having succumbed to Arsenal and Leicester, will they now be able to make it 3rd time lucky in the 20s against Liverpool? First half performance from Chelsea, not great, but the second half they were right on the money. Goals from Loftus-Cheek and Mason Mount giving them a deserved 2-0 victory. Palace, with a change of system, played very well in the first half, couldn't cope with Chelsea in the second, and missed the 2 really good chances they had from set pieces to put any influence on the scoreline at all. Wasn't to be for Palace. Their support magnificent. Patrick Vieira, I think, will feel that his side did themselves justice by and large. The Chelsea, the better team, and they're through to the FA Cup final for the 16th time. Palace 0, Chelsea 2, and in a repeat of the League Cup final, it will be Chelsea against Liverpool in the FA Cup final.